You like appetizers?
Oh my gosh!
What happened?
I just thought of this. I went to text you over the weekend. I went to a place that stole your idea.
What was it?
One of your half-baked ideas, because everybody knows KW loves a good seafood plateau. Platter.
A tower.
Sorry.
That's when we went out with you and he ordered a flat.
It was like
a plane.
A handful of shrimp.
Right.
What?
I screwed up when I ordered it because I was trying to make sure Brew
was terrible.
didn't get
He just
overcharged.
wanted me to spend all my
Exactly.
money.
Well, it was a
But
waste
more,
of money.
But more
Whatever was
importantly,
expensive.
I went to a restaurant that you walk by all the time in Grand Central that has an entire section of the menu of towers, seafood and other stuff.
Grand Central Oyster Bar?
No,
Another place with towers?
yeah, but it's just a bunch of towers. They have little sandwiches, it was your idea.
We start in Kansas City. Brian Diardo of CBS Sports writing about the most optimistic fan bases in the NFL. Yeah. Shocker. Coming in at 32, the Jets. Even the kids are like, I hate this team. At number 1,
Makes sense.
the Chiefs.
It does.
Diardo writing, despite last year's 6-11 record, the Chiefs have the most optimistic fan base. Some of that optimism might come from the irrational confidence that comes with winning 3 Super Bowls and 5 AFC titles in 7 years.
That's right.
Brew, do you want to go first here? You liked this in the meeting, or do you want to?
It's up to Nick.
Pass or play? Because I feel
usually
like Brew
has
can
the
come out
Chiefs.
punching.
I think my answer might surprise you.
Okay, so
would you guys?
Any doubts the Chiefs return to AFC dominance? Brew wanted the word dominance in there.
Well, I think that might be why it might surprise us.
Any doubt? Sure. It's a little doubt.
You had a tad.
Wow. How far we've come from never a doubt
Yeah.
that they would go 20-0 to now doubt that
this
they'll
is-
dominate.
this is-
That's right.
Listen.
Everyone's undefeated right now.
Yeah. But what is
I
Some
am
my
doubts.
surprised.
He just
what do
said
I? Yeah, I
some
knew
doubts.
Said we'd be
I
surprised.
said you'd be surprised. Am I confident they will return to AFC dominance? Yes. Do I think as we sit here today, they have the best shot of any team in the conference of getting back to the Super Bowl? I do. I think the Patriots Super Bowl hangover plus tougher schedule could be real. I think there are massive questions in Baltimore and Buffalo just about, is our head coach good? And again, I really liked one of the hires. I was more ambivalent on the other, but I will, it's blind questions to me. I think there's a lot of the same regression schedule stuff that applies to the Broncos. I flatly don't believe in the Chargers. The AFC South, to me, doesn't have, and we disagree on this, a true top-tier contender in the division. As much as I like Trevor and as much as you like the Texans defense, like that covers. So I think the Chiefs are as well positioned as any team in the conference. It's, not predictions week yet, but we're coming up on it.
Sure.
I would be surprised if I don't pick them to win the conference. I'm not saying to win the Super Bowl, but to win the conference. But what I've always said is I owe the audience honesty, and the honest answer is, do I have the same confidence level as never a doubt? Or after coming off winning the first Super Bowl post Tyreek Hill, or a second straight Super Bowl post Tyreek Hill when the team in the regular season looked awful, or a third straight trip to the Super Bowl going 15-1 even though they got shellacked in the Super Bowl? No, this is probably the least overwhelming confidence I've had going into any season since the first year after they traded Tyreek, which was because we had seen them fail. Now, that year they didn't fail, but in the second half of that playoff game against the Bengals, they did. And they traded Tyreek, and they have these new players on defense. And so I am not, I do consider myself 10 toes down that I think the team's going to be really good, that I believe in them. But is there some doubt for a team whose quarterback is coming off the ACL, who had all that changeover, and there is still major questions in the receiving corps? Of course.
Wow.
There is a touch of doubt.
Looks like someone didn't put on their nicotine patch.
No.
That was a very nice, honest answer.
Yeah.
Unbiased, pretty unbiased answer from Nick. There's plenty of doubt. I actually have doubt. I wouldn't say a conviction. I'm not sure how my picks are going to go. I have doubt that they'll even make the playoffs.
So that's where we're going to disagree.
Yeah,
But
so
you go.
I have some doubt. I'm not saying I'm not going to pick them to make the playoffs, but I do have some doubt about that. And let me count the ways.
Okay.
1, They were 6-8 last year with Patrick Mahomes.
7.5.
Well,
The last game he got hurt during it. Who knows what would have happened?
It probably would have lost. But number 2, Mahomes hasn't been fantastic the last 3 seasons. Hasn't been all-pro either of the last 3 seasons. Last year didn't even make the Pro Bowl. And not a top 5 MVP candidate the last 3 years. All right, even though at times he was favored to win it in those seasons, but has not finished top 5.
Top 5?
Has not finished top 5.
I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah.
And now, of course, he's coming off a serious injury, even though he looks like he's healthy, but he's coming off tough injury. Receiving core leaves a lot to be desired. Absolutely. And Travis Kelce is 37 in October, so he's getting older.
Yeah.
The defense lost 3 quarters of their defensive backfield last year. And Chris Jones, probably a future Hall of Famer, I think should be certainly a future Hall of Famer, is still very good, but not what he was a few years ago.
I wonder if he bounces back this year, but last year
was the worst.
Bad no, but last year was the worst year he's had in 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, so that's
wasn't up
totally
to his typical standard.
That's totally fair.
The AFC West is tough.
Yep.
Whether you think it's better than last year or not, it's tough. The Chargers are legit. The Broncos are obviously legit. And not only, they got good coaches too. Like coaches that generally, every year, I know Peyton has some down years in New Orleans, but generally their teams are good year in and year out. And so, I think, look, out of respect for Mahomes and Andy Reid and what they've done over the last, half decade or decade plus or close to a full decade, I certainly won't write them off. But I got major doubts.
You guys have really come onto my corner as the Chiefs doubter on the show. So if you want my corner, you guys can have it. Because the other day when I vociferously said you should be worried about the Chiefs, and I listed a lot of reasons why I was doubting the Chiefs, you say, well, how many games do you have them winning?
I know.
And I said, you know what? Not that many. He was like, all right, let's just go through the schedule. Dust, do you have the Chiefs' schedule?
This was fun because KW was killing me because I but
then I started to go through it. I'm like, all right, Broncos, I could have them lose that game.
Yeah.
Colts, that's a win. And then the Dolphins are a win, and then the Raiders are a win. Okay. Yeah. So now all of a sudden we're 3-1. All right, you're home against the Chargers off a bye. Okay, well that's a win. That's 4. And then it's got the Seahawks,
At the Seahawks.
At Seahawks, you give it to the Seahawks. Yeah. At Denver's hard to win, but then you got Jets, Falcons, Cardinals. Those are 3 more W's.
So now you're at 7 by your math.
I don't believe in the Bills.
Yeah.
So that's 8.
Yeah.
Rams, that's probably a loss.
Even if you call the Bengals and Patriots a loss.
49ers are going to be, who knows who the 49ers, that'll be Mac Jones, prime Mac Jones time. Either wins it straight out or just a lot of injuries. More and then the Raiders.
So you have winning 10 or 11.
Yeah. And that's not, I didn't even, maybe there's a silly loss and an unexpected win. You could win in Seattle, you could lose too. The Falcons are always winning games they shouldn't win. So even though in my heart I feel like I doubt them, on paper I'm like, no, I actually have them in the playoffs.
So this is where Brew and I, where we do disagree, is the concern about their ability to return to the top of the division. And Brews has a level of concern of forget just the top of the division, just being one of the 7 of 16 playoff teams. Even with losing to Denver last year when Patrick started, and even with never beating the Chargers last year, including when Patrick started the first game of the year, or maybe both games he started against Chargers, I don't remember. Here's Patrick in his career against the AFC West. And what you're going to see is it's 36-8. Going into that game against Denver last year, even though it felt like the narrative going in was, man, the Broncos give Patrick a ton of trouble, he was 13-1 in his career against Denver. He's 13-2 in his career against the Raiders. So I do believe the Chiefs have a massive structural advantage over their division counterparts, which if you win the division, you get to the postseason. And here is Patrick in his career, including all these down years, in the AFC side of the playoffs. He has a 112 rating. He has 36 passing touchdowns to 3 picks. a 280 passing yards per game. They're 14-2 with 2 overtime losses. And that includes 7 AFC playoff games during this period of time when he's been, not Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. He still is when he sees these teams in the playoffs to lead into the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, his Super Bowl appearances, he's been blown out twice. He's won MVP of the game the other 3 times.
At this point, if he got to the Super Bowl, it would almost be it would be a huge win.
Of course. For any team to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, it would be his 6th appearance in 9 years as a starter.
But for them, it'd be a downer because they used to winning Super Bowls.
Yes.
But
it would still be like this.
It would be an
incredible accomplishment.
Do you agree with me on this? And then I know we have to move on. That if the Chiefs, let's say they make the conference championship game and lose, that is the threshold to where last year does flatly get chalked up as.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? That it's just, okay, so they're right back where their floor had been every other year of Mahomes' career, which is the worst. They had made 7 straight conference championship games. If they get there and lose to Lamar or Drake or Josh or whomever, even if it changes who the favorite is the following year.
I think even if you win 1 playoff game, I'm still.
Oh, well,
I don't know.
But still, then that would be like.
I don't know if I'd say that.
Yeah, because
if you lose to Josh Allen, Josh Allen finally gets over the hump.
They had never lost early in the AFC playoffs, so that kind of would be more evidence of they're a good team, but not still the team to beat. But I think if they get back to the conference championship game,
I agree with that.
Chiefs host the Broncos in 32 days. Fun fact: 9 of the last 10 Super Bowls have featured either the Chiefs or the Patriots, who come in at number 8 on the Optimism Power Rankings. Main reason they're a little low, even though it feels high at 8. Classic Super Bowl hangover. The last 2 Super Bowl losers, Chiefs and 49ers, both followed up their campaign with losing records. Now here's the last 8 years, so it's a little bit of a mixed bag here, right? Chiefs and 49ers were 6-11. Eagles were 11-6, but they were in the supernatural funk. Bengals went right back to the AFC Championship game. So did the Chiefs. 49ers and Rams missed the playoffs, and then the pesky Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl. Would anyone be shocked, keyword shocked, if the Patriots missed the playoff entirely?
I would not be shocked. I don't yet know if it's what I'm picking. And I mean that sincerely, not just to create interest for predictions week. But for a list of reasons. One is the Super Bowl hangover thing goes, we can just look at the last 30 years as far as teams to lose the Super Bowl. Almost half missed the playoffs. 13 of the 30 Super Bowl losers missed the playoffs. You are more likely to miss the playoffs historically than you are to win a playoff game. But again, this conversation is not about, going one and done. It's about missing the playoffs
It's
entirely.
17 and 13. You make the 17 teams.
More 17 of the 30 have made the playoffs. 19 of the 30 have failed to win a playoff game, either because they missed or they went one and done in the playoffs. I do think if we throw up, Brew, the Patriots' schedule, this, which I consider to be a mid-tier difficulty of schedule.
It's 6th hardest for what it's worth.
Yeah, I know. So I have my own kind of like eyeball tests on what I think the schedules are based on how good I think the teams are going to be.
But they view the Chiefs as a moderately easy game,
right?
And the Broncos as a very difficult game.
And so I don't think you guys have like an impossible schedule, but it's nothing like it was last year. But here's the biggest reason why, Brew, I think it certainly wouldn't be shocking. If the first month of the season just goes according to how the odds makers have it, I'm not saying it will. They start 1-3. And I think a 1-3 start, when I expect Buffalo to be quite good and a relatively deep AFC, that can just easily turn into a 9-8 season where, you miss out on the playoffs by, again,
they quickly be 3-3.
That's what I'm saying. If we're 3-3, I'm not.
You see, they got the Raiders
I
and the
agree
Jets.
but I think, again, could I see that left column being 3-3? And then could I see that middle column being 2-3? Absolutely. And then all of us, you know what I mean? You're 5-6 going into that right column. And could I see you losing to Buffalo, Kansas City, and Denver, and now you have 9 losses.
Well, yeah.
That's 9 losses.
I mean, that's
And you know
worst,
what I mean?
yeah,
Even if
worst
you
case
split
scenario.
Yeah. And so and even if you split with Buffalo, so you get one of them 8 losses, and you're barely on the outside looking in. I would be shocked, Brew, if they're bad, but I would not be shocked if they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, not only would I not be shocked, I wouldn't even be surprised.
Surprise.
I wouldn't even raise an eyebrow.
Get out of town.
It's not unusual for a team that made the Super Bowl a year ago to miss the playoffs.
You wouldn't raise an eyebrow.
I mean, I guess it's not unusual.
No,
Of the last 8, 4 missed it and 4.
Is that?
Yeah, the last 8.
What 4 made it? Who was it? Mahomes?
The supernatural funk was bad, but they did make the playoffs.
Bengals, Chiefs,
Bengals went
Patriots.
right back. Chiefs went right back. And the Patriots, who the Patriots are the Patriots, won the Super Bowl. Well, culture.
Okay, so Brady, we're talking about Brady, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and was Mahomes.
And Mahomes.
Yeah, Mahomes. Drake May might be
I
in.
like Drake May. He might be in that group. I'm not totally convinced yet. It's one good year. Really good, a great year.
Yeah.
But I need to see another great year before every year now I'm writing him in.
No, the comp
and before every year I'm writing him in is,
the comp there would be the Bengals, because it was Joe Burrow's second year.
Yeah.
It was, you know what I mean? And that was good. You know what I mean? They had a great regular season. They got right back to the conference championship.
The chemistry, I'm concerned.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, guys!
Yes.
You got to
The
stop with this
chemistry between Drake May
We don't have to
and
stop.
AJ Brown is a question mark.
Definitely.
You know, I'm gonna toss this up to you, and you're either gonna dunk it or be like, "That's concerning." The Patriots opened up their New Balance
This
locker
is
room
nice,
area.
impressive.
You see who Drake May's locker is next to?
AJ?
AJ Brown. Brew, is that a good sign, or like? No, that means they need to work.
Well, I think it's smart because they can talk.
That's right.
They can talk, and AJ, if he's got some issues, he can share them with Drake privately. He doesn't have to go public with them.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's constantly sharing issues, he's a young quarterback. We know AJ wants to cook.
That's not how we get down.
They might win. But if he doesn't have his 7 catches for 111 yards.
Culture. Look, we've had a handful of scandals off the field. A hand-holding scandal, for example, that rocked the world.
Okay, let's
just
not
saying,
get into that.
but that being
it was
said-
the bigger piece of that scandal for the Patriots' perspective was Vrabel in front of the podium lying to everyone. That was we're not the bedroom police, and we haven't.
It was a scandal.
I think there was probably a little more going on than
hand-holding.
hand-holding. But that's fine. But go ahead.
We're holding hands.
Sorry. Go ahead.
That being said, you don't see, traditionally, the Patriots, Bill Belichick slammed a phone one time. You don't see a lot of guys reading books on the sidelines. You don't see a lot of guys kicking over the field goal net. That's just not really the Patriots' culture. It just isn't.
Look, how did Antonio Brown fit in the Patriots' culture? And I'm not saying AJ's
he was
on
gone,
that
turns out,
level.
pretty quickly.
Right. AJ's not that.
No.
But,
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's light years away. I don't think it's almost done.
No, but
light
Ocho
years
Cinco
away.
didn't really work out.
Ocho Cinco, I was
kind of
gonna say
old,
him
but it
too.
was no ish.
And Randy Moss worked initially wildly worked.
Yeah,
but then if
AJ Brown,
eventually.
if we go undefeated and lose in the Super Bowl and Drake May
but
throws
I'm
50
not
touchdowns.
ready to call Drake May Tom Brady.
Yeah, and I
That's
am
the
not
thing.
as
Maybe after this year, though.
would you be? Hold
better
on.
win the
I
Super
really
Bowl
want
for
to
that.
do this. I know we have to move on, but I want to do this question.
Yeah, I
because
think
want your answer.
Yes, I would be.
You'd be shocked.
Shocked is a tough word. Shocked, I don't think after Lamar, Burrow, and Patrick all missed the playoffs in the same year, I don't think you can be shocked. That's what makes the NFL great. I would be surprised.
Okay.
But I don't think I would be shocked.
Is there any team in the AFC
that'd be shocked if
that you'd be more surprised if they missed than the Pats?
Great question.
Thank you.
Great question.
I think your answer is no.
No.
I think his
No,
answer-
so I guess I would be shocked. If they're number one on
they're
my
number
shock
one.
ranking.
Yeah, that's what I
So
thought.
you would be less shocked if Baltimore misses the playoffs?
Because he's going to say yes. 'Cause
Yeah.
they just did.
New coach, new coordinator, and coming off a bad year.
So that's what I thought. The Patriots are the team you're most confident in the AFC will make the playoffs.
So you would be.
I have one. No,
Gobs.
21. I can save it.
All right, save it.
This is just like a nuclear weapon of a full screen. I'm going to put it right there. Save that. You're going to just adore this story. Just love it. Finally, Emmy Award-winning analyst Dan Orlovsky ranked the top quarterbacks by trait. Arm strength was Josh Allen. Ball placement was Stafford. Second reaction ability, I thought that was interesting. Josh Allen again. And decision making. Out of the box pick here, it was Josh Allen. Orlovsky writing, he makes good decisions both in and out of structure. He did throw 10 interceptions, lost 3 fumbles last season, but his tape shows an ability to read the defense and avoid getting baited into trouble. So you don't get credit for the stuff that doesn't happen. That's what's on the tape. I like that actually from Orlovsky. Friend of the show.
Listen.
Yeah, we saw him on the plane. He said
definitely, by all accounts, and by my very brief interactions, a really good guy.
Yes.
Everyone likes him.
Yeah,
Seems to be an amazing dad.
Yes.
Not friend of the show.
I thought he was. He said
Direct
hi to us on the plane.
I like him.
You can be personal friend. He's a big part of the reason this show is Emmyless. Thank you very much. And a direct competitor, and what I consider, just like I have media rivals, Greg Jennings' media rival. What do you mean?
Greg Jennings is media rivals
Well, they're in the
Orlovsky?
same. Yeah, Rex Ryan and Coach, Greg Jennings and Orlovsky. I just, me and Mina. Like everybody's got to play. You and Laura Rutledge. Like everybody knows it. Like
I didn't know that.
This is as close to gaslighting as I've seen in sports commentary. You see that a lot on rom-coms. You hear that phrase?
Rom-coms?
Yeah, romantic comedies.
Well, I know what it
my
means.
Daughters. And I feel like we hear about a lot in politics. I've never quite seen it in sports. It is not that dissimilar to if when I was like trying to make a LeBron's greater than Jordan argument, I was like, and everyone knows that Michael Jordan was afraid to take the last shot. We all just acknowledge like that was a part of the thing, and people will be like, wait, that's like the opposite.
No,
like,
wrong. Like John Paxson, look at that, Steve Kerr.
I think Josh's second best player in the league. If you were to tell me of all the quarterbacks in the league that don't have a Super Bowl, one of them's going to win one in the next 3 years, he'd be my pick.
Yeah.
My frustration with Josh is the commentary surrounding him, and this is a great example of it. It's not only that I don't think he's the best decision maker in football. I think it might be his only weakness as a player. I think his only weakness as a quarterback is decision making. And Dano's telling us, actually, contraire, my friend, he's the best in the world at it. And it's just not what I have experienced throughout his career. It's a baffling ranking to me.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think he's closer to the worst decision maker in the league than the best. And I think this is nearly, I won't totally go there, nearly
yes,
an unacceptable opinion.
Wow.
It's not quarterback.
And I didn't even have to say that. I could have just pointed to this.
Yeah, I mean.
To this.
Wasn't great.
This is the playoff game, divisional round against Denver.
That's a decision.
That is not a great play by a defensive player where you fumble. That's not Lamar when he fumbled against Buffalo a couple years ago, where he just kind of dropped the ball. That is a decision-making fumble. All right, and it arguably cost them the game. Denver got a field goal, went up 20-10 at the half. They lost by 3 points.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't have to even say anything. I could have just showed this and said, he can't be number one.
Here's the 4 guys with 4 turnover playoff games in the last decade. Some of them great players, some of them not. None of them, if we show the list, would we say we look at as maybe Goff, you would say, is considered a really good decision maker.
Yes.
That was the fumbles game where he just kept dropping the ball. It was a little different because he was getting sacked as opposed to Trevor, of course, the only one on that list to win the game. None of those guys, and Ben certainly not at that point of his career. Can I add one other gripe about this Orlovsky thing, please? About the list.
Go for it, friend of the show, but
There's 7 traits he evaluates. So I took where he ranked Mahomes and Allen. Are we saying, because Dan is saying this, there's nothing in football Patrick's better at than Josh. It's nothing? It's not a single thing? It's not one thing I guess you could say they're both not ranked on pocket presence, so maybe he's higher than him there. I happen to think Mahomes' pocket presence is pretty good. I happen to think the description for second reaction ability, where he has Josh first and Mahomes third, the literal description is the ability to make off-platform throws from different angles.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the sport Patrick's better at than Josh.
Over.
He's worse at him than everything.
Yeah.
I agree. And I actually think Mahomes is the best decision maker in football.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think Mahomes' pocket presence, decision making, whatever.
Drake got number 1 pocket presence. I'm willing to vacate that.
Yeah.
No huddle. We got games tonight, Coach. Wow. Lions in Cincinnati. Zach Taylor rolling out the real lineup. Burrow, Chase Higgins, and Dexter Lawrence will all play. Before we get to the question, guess who else is in regular season form? Josh, the researcher. Burrow's career against the division, 12-16, like the opposite of Mahomes. Against non-division opponents, 31-17. But get this, within the division, he has only ever faced Tomlin, Harbaugh, and Stefanski, and they're all out of here. Isn't that interesting? Oh, he's in his bag.
Great graphic to start things off.
What are the chances the Bengals win the AFC North?
I think they're incredibly low. I think their only chance of winning the AFC North is if Baltimore really has a year from hell. Now, listen, I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be good, and I don't think Cleveland's going to be good, so that helps Cincinnati's case. But I had a different version of your stat, which is it is very difficult to win a division if you don't win division games. And
But the coaches are out of here.
I understand, but it's against the Steelers during the worst run of Steelers football in, this century. Game above 500. Against the Browns during a very Browns-like run of, who they've been for most of the time.
That's unacceptable to be 4-6.
You think?
Absolutely.
You think? You're 4-6 against the Browns.
And then 4-7 against the
And I think he's lost 1 or 5 of his last 6 against the Ravens.
And so things I don't trust on Cincinnati. The coach, the organization, the offensive line, the running game, the defense as a whole. Things I do trust, the quarterback and his 2 wide receivers. That's not enough for me to say they're going to win the division. And so I think the chances, Coach, are very low.
So in the last 20 years, this has happened twice where they've swapped out 3 out of the 4 guys. So the last time was 2020 in the NFC East, and Doug Peterson was the last guy standing. They ended up missing the playoffs. Now that whole division was terrible. I think the Commanders made it that year at 7-9.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little bit of an aberration. And then it happened in 2005 in the NFC North, and Lovie Smith ended up winning the division. I think they went 13-3.
He was the only one left standing?
He was the only one left standing. So you should have an inherent advantage if you're the remaining head coach and everybody else has transitioned over, because you have the continuity and you start with such a lead on everybody else. And I've been hard on what they've done defensively, but they have made a concerted effort to improve the defense through the draft, through free agency. So that should be significantly better. And if the quarterback is healthy, I think they have a great chance to win the division. The other thing is the starting slow. They were able to change that narrative somewhat last year. They started 2-0, then they lost the next 4 games. But they did at least get over that hump of every year starting 0-2, 0-3. So from a continuity standpoint, they should have a significant advantage. Now, whether they can maximize that, we'll see.
Not surprisingly, I think the Ravens going to win the division. But I think the Bengals will be good. I'm assuming Burrow's going to be healthy, which is a big if. But if he's healthy, I think they have a really good chance to make the playoffs, because I think they did make some good moves in the defense.
All right, next up, this would have been cooler in the regular season, but still cool. Packers-Steelers tonight. Jordan Love is expected to play. Mike McCarthy and Rodgers have some mixed messages about if he'll take any snaps, so we'll focus on the Packers. Last year, when they got Micah Parsons, guess what, Brew? They were great. Then when he got hurt, whoops, didn't win a game. You were a big J-Lo fan last year. I don't know where you are this year. It's more like
That's stunning.
Packers take a step forward or back?
This is a great question because I'm torn. I'm very much kind of 50-50 on this question.
Yep.
As you said, they were great, looking like they could get to the Super Bowl with Micah. Then he got hurt, but he may miss 5, 6,
Correct.
7 maybe games, and then you don't expect him necessarily to come back looking like Max Crosby right away. Like it may take a couple of weeks. I really like J-Lo still. Like I think he's gonna have a very good year, but I'm concerned about the defense, and then the division's so tough. And so I hate my heart is saying I think they'll move forward, but my head is telling me, if anything, I mean, I think they can move forward depending on when and how Micah comes back. But my head is telling me they are candidates to miss the playoffs because the division's so tough and they could get off to a slow start because Micah's not there. The schedule's not incredibly hard.
You say J-Lo in the preseason, but then throughout the season it's J-Lo or J-No or J-Lo or J-No.
Yeah.
And
I hope it's J-Lo all year.
But that's a little bit of the story with him is there's games where he's J-Lo and it's through the roof, and he's very streaky. And when he's streaky, they're hard to beat because he's on fire. And then his bad games tend to be the B games, as opposed to, a lot of quarterbacks where they're B plus, A minus. That's kind of their medium level. He typically is lower. And to your point, the division has gotten better as well. Mike is probably not going to be there for 6 or 7 weeks. So let's say they get into a hole. Are they going to be able to dig it out? And how well does he come back? And then from a leadership perspective, I know he'll bring a lot of leadership back, so that'll be a positive.
I think he will. I think Mike is a good defensive leader, despite the fact with sour grapes, Stephen Jones
Not what I
says.
heard.
Yeah, a lot of people speak glowingly about their exes. It's a huge thing they do. I don't know, Dustin, we have time to just throw up the Packers schedule real quick. My answer is step back because I think they are one of the top candidates in the league of a team that needs to get off to a good start because of how their schedule feels to me to be backloaded. And I think what they showed us last year was without Micah, anybody can beat them. I'm not saying they're going to go winless without Micah the way they did before, but
don't you think they could? They could be 3-2. I mean,
3-2 would be great. I think that's certainly on the board.
It could be 4-0.
So you're going. He was going through because Micah's targeting the Cowboys game. The point that I am kind of making is, given how they played last year without him, I would expect the Bucs and the Bears to beat them without Micah, and then you really have to sweep those first two of them on the road. By the way, games again. The Jets shouldn't be good. The Falcons are to me a huge unknown as far as what version of Tua are we getting. Stefanski taking over that team.
It could be deep sleepers.
The Falcons, I think they're somewhat trendy.
And
I think they're somewhat trendy. Shoot. And I would say,
not deep sleepers.
I would expect the Vikings, any team with Kyler Murray, I expect to be better in better in September than December. And so if you have the Vikings on your schedule, you're maybe a little bummed if it's early rather than late. Obviously, Packers get them twice.
Finally, last game in no huddle, several games tonight, Cardinals at Raiders. We'll get our first look at Fernando Mendoza. For what it's worth, we did come away from the Cardinals game impressed with Carson Beck, but he's not playing tonight, rib injury. What are you expecting from Mendoza tonight? Small scale, tonight.
You're going to hate it.
What?
You always hate this when I talk about in preseason.
No, I like it.
It's not what I expect. It's what I hope. I hope it's clean. I hope we're not. I'm hoping.
We got to get to the line of scrimmage, right, guys?
I am hoping we are not going to see false starts, balls on the ground, unnecessary time. Just from an operational standpoint, if he goes out and operates the offense effectively, that's a good start. And I know high expectations, but that's a good start for any young quarterback. And then you don't need to take any hits. We don't need to Jackson Dart this.
I was about to say, I don't want to see him run the ball once.
Yeah, don't get hit. Throw the ball a few times, be efficient, and move on to your next.
But just the reason I mention it, the last time we saw Fernando Mendoza play football, maybe the biggest play of his entire career was the run against he is big,
Stakes
he's
are a little
athletic.
different.
And
No,
they were playing for something.
No. Of course, I totally agree. The point that I'm making is I think I'm going to go ahead and call it sneaky athleticism, is going to be a real benefit of him once he does become the starter. I also think in the preseason with young quarterbacks, there can be too quick of it's not there, let me run. And I would just if I were Clint Kubiak, I'd be telling him I don't want to say you're not allowed to scramble, but you know what I mean? If it's not there, just throw it away.
Don't scramble.
Okay,
Throw
if
it
it's
away.
not there, just throw it away rather than lean on your legs. And maybe also see what you can, if you take the extra beat in the pocket, what you can see opening up.
Yeah, I won't make any long-term assessments of him, whether he plays great or, more so it'll feel good if he plays great. But if he plays poorly, I'm not going to write him off or anything like that. But I do think a lot of people, looking at how Carson Beck played last week, doesn't mean Beck's going to be great, but he played really well. I think people will kind of compare that to whatever Mendoza does. And so if he looks bad, he'll probably get some, negative criticism and stuff. But it won't mean anything.
Do we think there's any version of the game that he can play where the story on tomorrow's show is, should they consider changing their plan on Cousins starting week 1?
Yeah, if you want to have a crazy overreaction to whatever he does in the first preseason game.
Oh, no.
If he looks phenomenal, don't you? And I'm not predicting. If he came out and just was 10 for 11,
can he prove it to the coaching staff?
Do
you know how much game planning is going into this?
No.
0. Okay. So it'll be the base offense. It'll be base defense. It's remember when the Pro Bowl when you actually played a game and you could only run 2 coverages and no disguise. Now look, everybody's got to play by those rules. They may want to light up Mendoza just because.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.